Uh, love and happiness.
I think every single member of the family has to be a hard worker and they have to have a good enough income in order to bring money into the family and support a household and also get
I think
married.
a good family should be able to communicate with each other well and just know how to support each other even when times are hard.
Um, Having a steady income and a job that's normal.
A successful family makes enough money to maintain their bills and feed their kids, and sometimes go out once in a while. I think that's what a successful family.
Just somebody with multiple breadwinners in the family, both parents that make money, kids that make money as well.
We have to be happy, know how to communicate with each other, know when to come and talk to each other if we have a problem.
Financially stable, right? Because you need money or else you're gonna be poor and you're gonna be on the streets, and that's not fun.
I first thought of like the Cosby Show because you know how like the mom's a lawyer and the dad's a doctor, so those types of professions they definitely automatically make like wealthy family. Like both parents are working, double income definitely makes a wealthy family.
You have to have peace, love. There should be a relationship between everybody and harmony.
I think the best part like when the wife and husband are both doing it together, not like one person, because it's harder.
If your house is like abnormally big and you have like extra money on the side, just balling, like you just spend it on anything.
Enough, a family that makes enough money to live comfortably. Two parents? I mean, you don't need two parents as long as you have like one parent who makes enough money.
I don't want to sound cliche, but
Okay, so like with my family, I know my parents, they care about me. Like they're more like involved with the things that I'm doing. They watch after what I'm doing. I think it's more likely to have their children to be successful.
I don't know, just family time,
Stereotypes exist everywhere, but despite that, all types of families are still subject to poverty in one way or another. According to the United States Census in 2012, there were around 75 million children living in the U.S. Out of those 75 million, approximately 21 million lived with one parent. Nearly half of those children lived in poverty. Whereas out of the 54 million children living with two married parents, over 70% of them were at least 200% above the poverty line. That is not to say that all children living with two parents were well off. Out of all the children living in poverty, 30% lived with married parents. As of 2011, there were nearly 1.85 million single male parents and 5.96 million single female parents in the United States, which is nearly a 1-to-3 ratio. Single mothers are also more likely to be poor or experience financial struggles than single fathers. Firstly, women are more susceptible to become single parents as they themselves bear the children. Often, when there is an unwanted pregnancy, the father may run away, leaving the woman to provide for both herself and her child. Fathers usually tend to be single parents because they either get a divorce, leaving them with only partial custody of the child, or their wife dies, in which case they alone bear the responsibility to provide. Regardless, these instances occur at a lesser probability than a woman being abandoned by the child's father. Women also earn less, an average 23% less than men, so it is even harder for them to get out of poverty even if they do get a job. Single parents in general are more likely to fall into poverty because they do not have that other person supporting them.
That companion to help her or him, it's going to be hard whether they're making all this money or not.
It is also harder for single parents to get a job, as seen with the example of Shanisha Taylor, a single mother who, unable to get a babysitter, left her two children unattended in a car while she went for a job interview. Someone saw the children alone in the car and called the police. She was then arrested and placed in jail. and faced 7 or 8 years in prison, and all because she was attempting to properly provide for her children. Her story may be unique, but it represents the struggles single parents may face while trying to get out of poverty.
Yep. Mom.
Okay. Do you think that you struggle more because she's single?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a single parent?
No.
Do you think that your family would struggle more if one of your parents was single?
Yes.
Who do you think would struggle more, your mom or your dad?
My dad.
I don't know, because it's just the one kid, a little Jonesy. I mean, I have a decent job, but it'd be nice if there was, two sources of income and just the one. And it is a little bit hard because I gotta, take my kid to daycare and everything, and that's extra money and all that, so. Yeah, I'd say I struggle a little bit.
I had a single parent for 2 years of my life.
Okay.
Because that's more responsibility on one person's shoulders, and obviously you can financially struggle if someone were to lose their job.
No, because my mother knows like how to communicate with us.
I definitely think being a single parent is difficult, and having a partner just help with household chores or supporting the family is really important.
I feel like they would, because both my mom and dad contribute to the amount of money that's coming in the house, and if that money was cut in half, then we won't have as much things as we do now.
Okay, thank you.
I can't say that. Both my parents work really hard. My mom, she works. She's like several, like she's an accountant, a mother. She does pretty much everything. She takes care of me and my two sisters. We're 3 kids, and she's just like, she does a lot of things. And my dad works long hours, so they're both busy.
Okay, so they're both necessary to your family.
Yes. Absolutely. Both as a financial struggle because we have 2 incomes coming in, and even with 2 incomes, it seems to be tight sometimes. All right, so if you have a single parent with 1 income coming in, that's the problem. And then just time-wise. If you want your kids involved in activities, you're driving your kids around, trying to do your job, everything else, you're trying to take care of the house.
Trying to participate in their activities.
Right. So having 2 parents to split up the role of housekeeping, children watching, children activity participating is much easier with 2 people.
Absolutely.
And
financially, definitely, you're still living in a house, you're still paying utilities, but now only one person's paying. You still have a car, so a lot of the expenses when you're married are now shared. When you're single, it's yours alone.
While many people would struggle more if they were single or if they had a single parent, not everybody would be in that situation. And it is not always the women that would struggle more. While it is true that men usually earn more wages for the family, there are increasing cases of women becoming the breadwinners in the family. However, even if a single parent has a large income, it is still more difficult to spend time with one's child or take them to activities without that extra person. The composition of a family is a key factor in determining one's economic status, and it is intertwined with other factors. Research shows the clear link between poverty and the growth in single-parent households, nationally and locally. Statistically, a child in a single-parent household is far more likely to experience violence, commit suicide, become drug-dependent, commit a crime, or perform below his peers in education, instances that all continue the never-ending cycle of poverty.
And part of that, though, goes back to the idea of living within your means. Some people's stress is self-imposed. You don't have to have the biggest house, the biggest car, the biggest TV set. Right? So being willing to live with less and be happy with that can make life easier too.
Absolutely.